Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're here in the month of May and hey, fishing's still good here in Arizona. So good news to report to you guys. Conditions have been good. Fishing's good. The heat of the summer hasn't really set in yet. So lots of good stuff to bring to you guys this week. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been out on the water catching fish. So we got a lot to get to this week. Couple housekeeping items first. As you guys know, I've said it a million times, this fishing report is brought to you by Hatch Toyota in Show Low, Arizona. If you guys are in the market for a vehicle, please give them a shot. Been working with them for about 12 years now, and the service, the attention to detail, the inventory that they have, they've been great to work with. It's not your typical dealership experience. So make sure that you guys see them if you're in the market for a vehicle, and also want to include Signature Gates and Welding Company. They are a locally owned and ran business. They've specialized in electronic gates. So, you know, automatic electronic gates. If you're someone who works for a homeowners association or a community that uses electronic gates, and you know, you're looking for someone to service your gates, install gates, give Kevin Finley and his crew a chance. They great people, great service. Kevin's a great guy. So and last thing before we get into the report, I know you guys are all itching to talk fishing here, but Scott Holland, the winner of last month's tackle giveaway, I have not heard from you yet. So I did have one issue. One gentleman who had won several months ago had been reaching out, and somehow his emails weren't coming through. Everyone else has gotten their stuff, but for whatever reason, it didn't go through. Finally got a hold of him, got his baits to him. But if you sent me an email and it didn't come through, try it again, and maybe try to reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. I don't want to have you put your address right in the comments here, but you can look me up at Josh Bertrand Fishing on Facebook or Instagram. Send me a message with your address. I'll send your baits, or send me an email, azangler@gmail.com. Send me that email. I'll send you your baits. I've got a whole nother pile of baits to be given away this week. So be on the lookout for that. And then lastly, if you're looking for a guide trip, I've got a few dates left open for this late spring and summer. I'll have a ton in the fall, but a few left for the upcoming couple of months. So send me an email as well on those, azangler@gmail.com, all lowercase. I'll get back to you. Hopefully we can get you on the water. So let's get to it, guys. Like I said, fishing's been good. The bass spawn is still trickling on, and I say trickling like there still are some fish on beds on all of our local lakes, not a ton. The Arizona spawn lasts a lot longer than other states that I fish. You know, I just got back from fishing back east just a couple days ago, and those fish already spawned out, and the weather's way cooler than it is here in Arizona. But for whatever reason, these fish in Arizona, their spawn really gets dragged on. I think it's a couple of things. For one, our weather's so consistent. I think the fish know that they don't have to cram it in and get it done, you know, going from a winter to spring to summer, because our seasons are so extended. But I think a big part of it is the fact that our lakes don't have the most spawning habitat. So we got some lakes with some pretty good populations of fish, but there aren't a million protected pockets and spawning flats for these fish to spawn. So they literally end up having to take turns for this turf. And, you know, I think that's what draws it out a little bit longer than a lot of other states. But all that to say, spawn's still going on a little bit. If you want to go try to find yourself a bedfish, you can do it right now. It's not going to be as good as it was a month ago, though. Speaking of spawn, though, we've got the bluegill spawn and we got the shad spawn both happening. When the bass wrap their deal up, the shad start to spawn and the bluegill spawn. Bluegill spawn is an all-day deal. It's very easy to find. You can see the craters of beds on your electronics on side scan, on the perspective mode on live scope, or a lot of times you can just see them with your eyes if you got a clear water lake. And the bluegill spawn in clusters. So, you know, it's not like a bass where there's one here and one there. You'll have no bluegill beds for a quarter mile, and then you'll have one spot where there's 50 of them spawning in one area the size of my garage here. And the key to that is big bass will be around those bluegill beds. You know, it doesn't matter what lake you're on. If you find bluegill beds, I've seen it all over the country, there are big bass hanging around them. If any of you watched the Heavy Hitters tournament from last year on Caney Lake that I fished, I had a great tournament. I finished 5th, and I caught all of my fish around bluegill beds. And basically I would find the bluegill bed, and I would fish around them. And I didn't catch a ton of fish, but every 3rd or 4th time I would visit each bluegill bed, I would catch a fish. And as you would imagine, if you're a bass that's big enough to eat a bluegill, you're big. Like a 1 pound bass is not eating a full-size bluegill. It's a 3, 4, 5, 6+ pound bass that's there to eat bluegill. So you're going to catch above average size bass around these bluegill beds. So that's something to be looking for no matter what lake you're on. The shad spawn. Shad spawn is a deal. It happens early in the morning. So, if you're getting on the water at 6 o'clock, you've already missed most of the shad spawn. You need to be on the water at 5 o'clock, right at daylight. And what I like to do when I'm looking for the shad spawn is I look for birds. I run down the lake until I see herons perched on the bank, and I'm going to whip in and fish this area. And what's happening is these shad are spawning. They don't spawn like bass or bluegill where they actually make a bed. And I'm no biologist. I'm not going to tell you the whole cycle of how a shad spawns. I'll mess it up. But they all get together and they all go nuts. And they're swimming around in circles, and they're typically right on the bank. And when they're right on the bank, they are a easy target for bass. It's a great opportunity to get your day off to a good start by catching some fish in the shad spawn. When I see this happening, I'm using shad imitating baits like spinner baits, top waters, vibrating jigs, swim baits, stuff like that. Even like, a white frog, a white top water, anything that looks like a shad that fits the situation, right? Like if you're in heavy brush and they're spawning up around the trees, well, you're not going to throw a walking topwater bait up into the brush. You're going to throw something like a soft jerk bait or a spinner bait on the edge, something weedless. If you see them spawning on a regular rocky bank, you could throw a jerk bait or you could throw a crank bait. Anything that looks like a shad that fits the situation that you're in, that's what you're going to want to do to attack that shad spawn. And again, like I said, typically when the sun hits the water, it's over. If you have a cloudy day, it'll extend. Unfortunately, we live in Arizona. You might not get a single cloudy day in May. So be out there early, get on that deal early, and then as the day progresses, start looking for other things. From lake to lake, Lake Pleasant, 85% water capacity right now. It's fishing good. The largemouth, striper, people are running into some white bass. It's a great time to be out there. The fish are really keyed into shad on Lake Pleasant. So, there's some topwater action. A really good way to catch those fish this time of year is to throw a little swim bait, a 4 or 5 inch swim bait, either weightless or with just a little bit of weight. Throw it on a spinning or a light bait cast rod and cover a lot of water with it. The shad spawn is really a big deal out there on that lake. So you can find fish chasing bait early in the morning. So again, still a few bass up on bed. It's a great opportunity to take like a Berkeley General, something like this, a Berkeley General, and throw it around the trees. There's a lot of bass guarding fry that have already spawned, so plenty of shallow fish. If you want to go deeper, if you're lucky enough to find some of the gizzard shad that are doing their deal, you can catch some big striper on a big spoon. Like I said, a little bit harder to get onto that deal, but if you do, it can be really, really beneficial, and you can catch some really big fish. But largemouth wise, stay shallow. If you do decide to go deeper, pick up a drop shot rig, follow the creek channels out. The fish spawn back in this bay. Where are they going on their way out to the deeper stuff, and try to intercept them on that first point, the first drop off, whatever that first the first depth they have outside that spawning area is where you're going to find those fish. Pleasant's a good option right now. Roosevelt is 96% full. It's almost all the way full to the brim. Fishing's still great. Lots of numbers. Again, probably shallow is going to be your best bet. Topwater time, great time of year to be throwing, buzz baits, walking baits, what else? Soft jerk baits, spinner baits, anything fast moving, jerk bait. If you got some wind, spinner bait, jerk bait. And if you don't have wind, you can slow it down with a weightless general, throw a drop shot. I did a video recently about bubba shotting in the trees. It's on the Wired to Fish YouTube channel. You can check that out. I'd link it here, but I'm sure I'm going to forget when I'm editing this video. So check it out. Just search for it on the Wire to Fish website, and you'll see me drop shotting in the thick trees at Roosevelt just about a month ago, and that pattern's still going pretty well. Still a couple bed fish. If you want to go up into either river, you can go up and throw a frog and, you know, do some flipping, throw spinner baits. A lot of good options at Roosevelt. Fishing's good out there still, so I would highly suggest going up there. The rest of the Salt River chain, it's very hit or miss. I mean, golden algae is still a thing on a Canyon, Apache, and Saguaro. There's fish to be caught in all of them, but again, as people have been saying, just be cautious when you go out there. You know, don't be putting a bunch of fish in your live well and carrying them all around the lake. Catch them, put them back in the water. You know, you're going to have most of your action in areas that the algae is less intense, you know, so try to find the clear water. That's my biggest suggestion there. You're going to see all the patterns I'm talking about, the early shad spawn, you know, and then slowing it down with a drop shot or a jig or something like that later on as the sun comes up is a good way to go. But yeah, I mean, it's the fish are being caught. There's been some giants caught in these lakes, but the lakes are still a little bit on edge. I definitely don't want to say don't go out there because it's been like this for a couple months. We want to get our fix. I've been out on Saguaro a couple times myself recently. But yeah, just be cautious when you're out there, and the algae still is a thing. Hopefully the fish, I do think personally that the fish are doing a better job of adapting and avoiding the algae, not letting it get to them like they used to in the past. But I'm no biologist again, and that could just be, you know, an observation that's totally off. So I don't know. That's where I'm at on that one. Bartlett Lake, the water is 62%. It's dropping. It's all about the shad there this time of year. If you can find the shad, reaction baits, topwaters, spinner baits, jerk baits, crank baits, that's going to be your best way to catch a bunch of fish. I mentioned swim baits earlier. Berkeley Power Swimmer. Put this thing on a jig head or an underspin and just cover water with it. That's a great way to catch those fish when they're really dialed in on the shad. Talk spinner baits. The spinner bait is going into the package for a winner this week. And then the Berkeley bottom hopper, the fatty bottom hopper. I talk about this thing a lot. I didn't go deep into it in the last few reports, but if you go back or if you have been watching my reports from last summer and last year, that thing's a big player. You'll be seeing that thing involved in some videos coming up on the channel. But this is what the winner's going to get. And as most of you guys know, in order to be eligible to be drawn for these baits, just drop a comment below. Let me know what you do or don't like about the channel, the reports, but most importantly, let me know what's been going on our local lakes. You know, if you've been out to one of the lakes that I didn't mention and you got a good report, let me know. I want to hear it. Everyone else wants to hear it, so it's cool for us to be able to get together as a community and talk fishing. I admittedly don't get back to everybody in the comments. I don't have time to do it, but I appreciate it. I read them, and everyone else reads them too. So just if I haven't replied to you, I apologize, but I'm reading your comments. They mean a lot to me, and again, by commenting, you are eligible to win these baits. I'm going to pick one randomly out of the group. I'll draw one name, package these up, and send them to you. And again, Scott Holland, if you're out there, I haven't gotten your address yet. So again, send me an email, azangler@gmail.com. Hit me up on Facebook or Instagram in the messaging, and send me your address so I can send those baits from last month. But other than that, guys, I'm trying to think of other lakes. Alamo's still fishing good. It's another one. We copy and paste the Roosevelt report. Get up in the trees. Early on, there's a shad spawn going on. Throw a frog, throw a spinnerbait, throw a swim jig. Get into that heavy cover. That's going to be the best way to catch them. Topwater this time of year does last all day, so if you have the right situation to do it, don't be afraid. Don't just put your topwater, your walking baits away right away. You can get a big blow up at noon on a walking bait right now, so that's something to keep your eyes on. I'm getting ready to go to Havasu to fish the Arizona Open from one bass, so hopefully I got a good report for that one. Appreciate you Colorado River guys tuning in, even though a lot of times I don't have any current info for you guys. I've heard the water's low, it's clear, there's a lot of current moving through the lake, so I'm excited to see how that lake's fishing. I haven't fished a tournament there in quite a while, so I'll have a report for you guys after I fish that tournament. Some more videos coming on the channel, and yeah, appreciate you guys again. Make sure that you guys are following Hatch Toyota, Signature Gates and Welding Company, and yeah, if you're looking for a guide trip, drop me a line, azangler@gmail.com. Thank you all, and we'll be back at you soon.